Now, saints, I want you to lean in, because we are moving from the realm of repair into the realm of creation. Most people can believe God for a headache to leave, or maybe for a fever to break. But when a doctor says, the organ is dead, or the nerves are withered away, the average believer throws up their hands and says, well, I guess that's just my cross to bear. But I'm here to tell you that the God who spoke the stars into existence didn't lose his blueprints. If he made the first ear out of the dust of the ground, he can surely make a new one out of the resurrection power of Jesus Christ. Sister Kuhlman used to say, I don't have any healing power. I just know the healer. And when that healer walks into the room, impossible becomes a word that doesn't exist in the heavenlies. Let's look at Elias, a man who thought his life ended when the music stopped. The symphony of the unseen. Elias Thorne did not just play the violin, he breathed it. By the age of 30, he had stood on the stages of Vienna, London, and New York. His hands were insured for millions, and his ears, his magnificent, sensitive ears, could detect a single string being out of tune by a fraction of a vibration in a 100-piece orchestra. Then came the grip of silence. It started as a low hum, like a distant bee. Within 6 months, it was a roar. Within a year, the world had gone flat. The doctors called it autoimmune inner ear disease, a rare, aggressive condition where his own body attacked his auditory nerves. They tried steroids, surgeries, and experimental drips. Nothing worked. By the time Elias was 32, he lived in a tomb of absolute silence. He could feel the vibration of a slamming door in his chest, but he couldn't hear his own breath. He sold his Stradivarius. He broke his batons. And he grew a shell of bitterness so thick that not even his wife, Sarah, could pierce it. God is a myth, Sarah, he would scrawl on a legal pad when she tried to read the Bible to him. If there were a creator, he wouldn't destroy the very thing he gave me to honor him. Don't talk to me about healing. Talk to me about cruelty. The invitation to the impossible. In the summer of 1954, a heat wave gripped the city. Sarah, who had never stopped fasting for her husband, came home one afternoon with a flyer. Her eyes were bright, with a desperate, holy kind of hope. She held the flyer in front of Elias's face. Healing crusade. The days of miracles are not over. Elias swiped it away, his face contorted in a sneer. But Sarah didn't back down. She knelt in front of him, took his hands, and looked him in the eye. She moved her lips slowly, exaggerating the words so he could read them. One. Last time for me. Elias wanted to refuse. He wanted to scream into the silence. But something in her eyes, a reflection of a light he hadn't seen in years, made him nod. He went, not because he believed, but because he was tired of fighting her hope. The atmosphere of the spirit. The auditorium was packed. It wasn't a religious atmosphere in the way Elias expected. There was no somber organ music or stained glass gloom. Instead, there was a hum. Even though Elias couldn't hear the 3,000 people singing, he could feel the air. The atmosphere felt heavy, like the air right before a massive lightning strike. It was what Brother Hagin called the glory. It felt thick, almost like you could reach out and grab a handful of it. On the stage stood a woman in a simple white dress. She wasn't shouting. She wasn't performing. She was simply standing there, her head tilted as if she were listening to a conversation no one else could hear. Elias sat in the very last row, his arms crossed, his heart like a stone. Look at them, he thought. Poor, delusional people looking for a magic trick. Suddenly, the woman on stage pointed directly toward the back balcony, directly toward the section where Elias sat. The word of knowledge. Elias saw her lips move. He didn't need to read them. The woman's intensity felt like a physical weight pressing against his forehead. Beside him, Sarah gasped. She grabbed his arm, her fingers digging into his suit jacket. She began to point at the stage, then at his ears, her face streaked with tears. The woman on the stage spoke, and though Elias heard nothing, the presence in the room began to swirl. In the spirit, a word of knowledge had been released. There is a man in the back, the woman was saying. A musician. You've lost your hearing, but more than that, you've lost your song. You've been angry at the Father. But the master musician is standing behind you right now. He's not going to just fix your ears, he's going to give you a new set. He's recreating the nerves right now. Total restoration. The liquid gold. Elias felt a sudden, sharp heat. It didn't start in his ears. It started in the center of his chest, a spark of warmth that felt like someone had poured hot honey into his veins. It traveled up his neck, spreading behind his jaw. Then came the sensation of movement. Inside his head, it felt as if 1,000 tiny golden needles were knitting something together. It was a rhythmic, pulsing heat. For the first time in 2 years, the dead feeling in his head vanished. It was replaced by a pressure, the kind you feel when a plane changes altitude. Pop! Elias flinched. He looked around, confused. He had felt a sound. Pop, pop. Then, it happened. It wasn't a roar. It wasn't a hum. It was the sound of a woman's sob. Elias turned to his left. Sarah was weeping, her face buried in her hands. He heard the friction of her skin against her palms. He heard the crinkle of her cotton dress. He heard the person 3 rows down clearing their throat. But it wasn't the old hearing. It was sharper. It was as if he were hearing the colors of the sounds. The symphony of praise. The woman on stage began to lead a song. As the choir joined in, Elias didn't just hear the notes. He heard the intent. He heard the spirit behind the voices. He stood up, his legs shaking. He didn't walk to the front. He ran. When he reached the platform, the woman smiled at him. She didn't ask his name. She just said, "He gave you the ears of a spirit, didn't he?" Elias couldn't speak. He just nodded, the tears finally breaking through the stone of his heart. Someone handed him a violin, a cheap plywood instrument kept by the choir. To a man who had played a Stradivarius, it should have been trash. But Elias tucked it under his chin, closed his eyes, and began to play. He didn't play Mozart. He didn't play Bach. He played a melody that seemed to flow directly from the throne room of God. It was a symphony of the unseen. The notes seemed to hang in the air like shimmering lights. People in the first 10 rows began to fall under the power of God just by hearing the frequency of the worship, the creative evidence. A month later, Elias returned to his specialist, Dr. Sterling. The doctor sat in his office, staring at a set of new scans. He looked at the old ones, the ones showing the shriveled, necrotic auditory nerves. Then he looked at the new ones. "Elias," the doctor said, his voice trembling, "I don't know how to tell you this. This isn't a recovery. These aren't your old nerves. According to these images, it's as if you have the ears of a newborn child. The physical structure is different. It's a biological impossibility." Elias smiled. He didn't need the doctor's validation. He could hear the hummingbird outside the window. He could hear the clock ticking on the wall. But most importantly, he could hear the still, small voice that had been calling him all along. "It's not an impossibility, doctor," Elias said. "It's a recreation. The carpenter simply decided to do some remodeling. Now listen to me, beloved. Some of you are looking at dead situations. Maybe it's not your ears. Maybe it's a marriage that has gone stone-cold silent. Maybe it's a business that has shriveled up and died. Maybe it's a body part that the doctors say is beyond repair. I want you to understand that we serve the God of Genesis 1. He doesn't need good material to work with. He can work with void and without form. He can take the nothing of your situation and speak light into it. Don't pray for God to fix the old dead thing. Ask the Creator for a new thing. He is the God of the creative miracle.